Now, to start, we are going to create a project folder for our Fruits game inside the website's project folder. So we are going to create a folder here and call it Fruits game. Then jQuery, since we are going to be practicing mainly jQuery in this project. Then inside this folder, we are going to have all our work files. So to save time, we are going to get some inspiration from the Maths game website. So rather than starting our Fruits game from scratch, we can get the index.html file and the CSS files from the Maths game and then change them slightly so that we can get to the decoration of the Fruits game. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to copy both the index.html and the styling file from the Maths game and paste them in the Fruits game project folder. Now let's open this folder using brackets. And now if you go for the live preview, then we get the Maths game page skeleton and decoration. And we will need to change the index.html file and the CSS file so that we get to the skeleton and decoration of the Fruits game. So let's compare the two websites and understand quickly what changes we need to go through to get from there to there. So first of all, we can see that both pages, they have the same background styling. And then there is a container wrapping all the elements of the game. So we are going to change this container slightly to make it bigger, like that. Then we have the same score box, so we're going to keep that one and just make sure that it's well positioned inside the container. And then we are going to keep the same start button. We'll keep the instruction box, but we'll get rid of the 4 boxes because we don't need them anymore. And we will use the old question box to create this white box. The game over div is already here, it's just hidden. We are just going to make it bigger and change the properties so that it's centered and it's got the right dimensions. Also, if we look at the Fruits game, there is a new div there for the trials left. So we're going to need to create that div, and we can use the time remaining div to create that div. It is there at the moment, it's just hidden. So let's go ahead and start making these changes. First, we are going to change the properties of the container so that we can get the right dimensions, quite big. So we will need to change the width and the height as well. And also the margin this time is going to be a lot smaller. All right, so let's go ahead and make these changes. So for the height, we're going to go for 500 or 600. Let's change the margin so that we can see everything. So the margin is going to be really, really small. We're going to go probably for 20 pixels for the top and bottom. Or even less than that, only 10 pixels. And for the width, we're going to make it slightly bigger. And let's try 700. Or even slightly bigger than that, 750. and that looks fine now. So we're okay with the container div now. Now let's move to the score div. So we can see that at the moment it's not well positioned. So we'll need to push it to the right. So we're going to go to the left property of our elements and change that to 600, for instance, or even more, 700. And that looks fine now. Okay. Now let's move to the white div. So we say that we're going to be using the old question div to create this white div. So we're going to need to change the background of the question div. So it's going to be white. And also we're going to need to change the width and the height. So for the width, let's make it bigger and go for 600. And for the height, let's go for 300. Let's check that. Let's make it slightly bigger. So for the width, we're going to go for 650. Height 400. And now it looks fine. We said we don't need these 4 boxes anymore. So just take them out from the index.html file. Here they are. Okay. And let's change the text inside the instruction box and also change the title to Fruits Game. So let's start with the title. It's going to be Fruits Game. And the text inside that box is going to be Catch Fruits. And now we're almost there. Now we need to look at our game over box. So let's make it visible. First, so we'll need to center it and change the dimensions as well. So let's change the top and left properties. So if we go for 150 or slightly more, 160, 170, that looks fine. And for the left position, let's go for 100. Slightly more. Let's go for 130 or 140 or slightly more. So I'm going to go for 145. And for the top position, let's go for 180. Or just leave it at 170. It looks better. Okay, that's fine. And for the dimensions, we can leave the dimensions as they are. So we're okay with the game over box. Now the only thing left is the trials left box. So if you remember, we had a time remaining box there, so we can use that box to create our new trials left box. So if you go to our index.html file, our time remaining box is there, and at the moment it's hidden because it's got display set to none, and we can just comment that for now. Now we can see it. So let's change the properties so that it's there this time, and also change the background color and so on. First, let's change the ID of this element to trials left rather than time remaining. Let's do that in the HTML file as well. And let's take out all the text inside. And let's change the width. So we need a smaller width. So let's go for 80 pixels. That looks fine. To place our element right there, what we're going to do, we're just going to make sure that the div is at the beginning of our container, or if we want, right after the score, and we can get rid of the top and left properties. And now we can see it right there. And finally, we need to change the background color and have the same background color as the score box. So let's copy it from the score div. And that's the one. And let's copy it there. So we'll keep the padding at 10 pixels, but once we add the pictures, these little hearts, then the height is going to be the right height. So for now, we're going to set the display to none, and we're going to do the same thing for the game over div. And now our page structure and decoration is done, and we are ready to go through the logic of our game.